So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my encounters with a ghost. In my last episode about the superhero analog horror stuff, I mentioned it, I think. I had mentioned that my old house was haunted, and now I'm a little afraid that this house is haunted. Or I don't know, the ghost followed me and wants to catch these hands or some shit. But I decided to talk about it today. So, I don't know if I've actually told these stories before. So, there were a few things before this, the first one that I'm going to tell here, but nothing really, sparked my interest in the paranormal until this moment. So, I was laying down in bed. This was, I want to say, maybe early 2022? Or something, or maybe late 2022, early 2023, and I was laying in bed, and it had to have been 12 to 1:30, in between there, and all of a sudden, I was just laying there. I didn't watch anything scary. Analog horror wasn't even out yet, so that was off the table. I wasn't playing any horror games at the time, I believe. And again, I just didn't watch anything scary. I was just laying there. And so I was just looking around my room, and I was just laying there, and all of a sudden this feeling of existential dread came over me, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like I had no idea. And it was bad. It was full on near panic attack level of bad. And it was just I was having these my heart started racing. And I just felt like I was being watched. So I flipped over, because the way my room was set up was that I had my door on one end of my bed, or it was at the foot of my bed was my door, then to the right was my desk. So but the wall was to my right as well. So I was laying over facing my wall, and I rolled over, and my TV was on. I don't think it was playing anything, or at least I wasn't paying attention. But I was just I was laying there, and I was just my heart was racing. I was sweating. And I had a nightstand on my left, so I reached over, and I had a army knife, a big army knife on there, and I grabbed it, and I just I laid back down, and I was just holding this knife, and I start shaking, just so violently shaking, and all of a sudden, as I'm just laying there, I get this thought that something is crawling up the stairs. And as that is happening, as I'm thinking it, I start hearing it, something is crawling up the stairs. And I was just at the time, I was shitting my pants. And it made just so much sense, because I wasn't thinking, how could something be crawling up the stairs? Or you're imagining you're hearing it because this thought is in your head. So any little creak out there is going to sound like something. And I was just sitting there, and I swear that I could hear it. And all of a sudden, it just stops. And I'm still shaking. And I just I'm curling up, and I just go, no, I'm not fucking dying here today. I thought I was going to die. So I took the knife, and I jumped out of my bed, ran over to the door, opened it. I had the knife, ready to stab something. Open it, was nothing. It's just a dark hallway. And, I get, and, I'm oh my God. I breathe out. I'm and I go out and down the hallway, and I look out down the stairs, and there's nothing. Obviously, there's nothing. So I breathe a sigh of huge relief. I go to the bathroom and piss, because I had to pee so fucking bad. And I was just like, Jesus, like, oh my God, like, I was gonna shit myself or piss myself or something. Like, it was scary. And so I attribute that to stress. I'm like, okay, you know what? I was stressed about school. I had a lot of schoolwork. I was stressed. I'm gonna forget about this. Just go back to bed. And I remember I went back to bed, and I put on iCarly had been just put on to Netflix or something, and I was like, okay, I need something. So I just started watching that, and eventually I fall asleep. And that night, as I'm asleep, I have this dream where I'm at the top of my stairs, and it's midday. So, like, my mom's in the office, and I look down the stairs, and there's just this, like, black body thing. Like, it was like wearing a morph suit, whatever it was, but it had, like, no arms. So it was like a torso, legs, and a head. And the head was, like, pale white with, like, long brown hair covering its face. And it ran up at me in such a weird way. And I woke up immediately, and it was finally daytime. But it was, like, really fucking weird, and I was just, like, really freaked the fuck out. And, so, a few weeks go by, and nothing else happens. And I'm just like, that was so fucking weird. And from here on, it was a little like, oh, I just kind of forgot about it. I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. That was just like, it was weird. It was creepy. It was my imagination. It has to be my imagination. And so a year goes by, and my brother moves out. He goes to college, and I go and I move rooms into where his room was, because his room was bigger. And so I'm, like, at this point, just like, I've completely forgotten about it. And my dad and I, we go on this hunting trip to, we go up north for a hunting trip to our hunting cabin that we used to have. And while we're there, we go out, like, it was like a weekend, so I think we went up Friday and then hunted what little daylight we had left, and then hunted Saturday, and then we went home Sunday. And so we were up there, and I, at the time, like, so I'm hunting. I had my crossbow at the time. I actually think I have a video of what I found. I'll try and pull it up here soon. But I get up there, I walk up, and, like, there's a path, or so we get up there, we get on the road, like, the road into the game lands. We get out of the truck. He goes off on his own because he wants to go, find his own spot for a tree stand. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go explore a little bit and just see if I can't find anywhere good. So for this one area, I sit down, I go into the woods. I'm probably, like, maybe a few hundred feet off of the dirt road or whatever. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I'm not seeing anything. I'm sitting there for, like, a few hours, and I'm just like, I'm not seeing anything. I'm going to get up and go. Go a little deeper. So I get up, and I start going deeper into the woods. And I come out to, like, I guess the best, like, I think it was, like, an underground power line thing. Like, the power lines were underground, but there were no trees, and it was like separated. So, like, let me actually pull up, like, paint or something, and I can show you what I mean. There it is. So, like, if the trees, like, this is where I was, and this is, like, the area that I found. It was, like, separated, and, like, there were trees on each end. And, like I walked out here, and, like, it was just weird. Like, while I was there, I was just like, huh. Like, this is like really kind of creepy. Because, like, if you went this way, it was miles before you left the game lands. But if you went this way, you went, like, further up the mountain, almost, and then to the left. But, like, you couldn't really... And it was foggy, too, so it was, like, you couldn't really see anything this way or this way. And so... And then, like, if you kept going this way, by the way, you would hit the road. But it wasn't that close. It was, like, you gotta go... Like, you go off a cliff, essentially. But, so, we're sitting there... Or I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get up and go. And I'm walking, and I come out to this, and I'm like, whoa, this is, like, really creepy. And there was, like, I think there was, like, it was either a down tree or a gate or something, like, right here. It would have been, like, right here. And we were just, like, there. And I remember just, like, being like, okay, this is creepy. And then all of a sudden, I hear the loudest fucking snap. And now, my concern is, holy shit, there's a bear. What do I do with a bear? I have a crossbow with a single shot. If a fucking bear walks up, I'm dead. And he's hungry, I'm dead. And so I turn around, and there's just nothing. And I'm getting this weird feeling this whole time. I'm just like, oh my god, like, am I being watched? So, eventually, I just, like, I stay here for a little bit, and then I get the text from my dad saying, hey, can you, let's go back. Are you seeing anything? And I was like, no, let's go back. So I did actually walk down this way a little bit, but it wasn't, like, again, it wasn't, let me go into here just, like, so I can do this. Oh, wait. Fucking, whatever. I just hate fucking drawing in Microsoft Paint. But, so, I leave, or I went up the one trail, like, a little bit up this way, on the thing, like, I went up this way, and I didn't see anything, so I just went back into these woods here, and went back that way. So I get back to the truck, and I'm just like, okay, let's go back to the cabin. And sun sets, we go to bed, we're asleep, and all of a sudden, like at like 12 o'clock in the morning, the smoke detector goes off. But it doesn't go off, like, it doesn't go like it doesn't continue. It like makes two noises. It goes beep, beep, and then just stops. And my dad jumps up and runs out, and he's like, what is going on? Because I was sleeping on the couch, by the way. He's like, what's going on? And I was like, I can't remember what I said. I think I said, I was like, I told you we were haunted or something. And, like, I went back to sleep immediately because I was just like, there's no fire. I'm going to bed. And he goes back to sleep. We just assume it's a coincidence. So the next day, we get up nice and early. We go out hunting. And so let me try to paint a better picture here for you of what this area looked like in relation to the road. So, like, so if we, like, this is the road here, this is the entrance to Game Lands, it would have been off here and, like, a long walk before you reached this area here. So for the first few hours, I positioned myself, like, here. I'm, like, close enough to the road to where I can see the truck, but I'm also still kind of, like, I'm still far enough away from this. And it's complete afterthought. I don't even think about this at the time. And I and I sit here for a few hours, and I'm just like, I have my one of my headphones in, and I was listening. I remember exactly what I was actually listening to. I was listening to Wendigoon's Wendigoon's video on Frankenstein. So I get myself a little in the horror mood, and so I'm like after a few hours and a missed shot at a squirrel. God, I still am pissed about that, actually, because I almost had him. He was sitting like right there, and I freaking had him too. But anyways, so I get up. I'm like, I'm not seeing anything. I'm bored. I'm just gonna go out and around. So essentially, one thing that I didn't mention here was that there were like rocks, like big boulder rocks, like here. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go over to those rocks and just like get up on one and just see if I can like see anything. So I get up and I start walking this way, and I start drifting off because I think I'm going the right way, but it was like I couldn't really see the rocks, and so I start drifting off. I don't know if I was even that close. I might have been like here really when I drifted off and started walking around, because there was like, I think if I remember correctly, there was brush here. And so I start going this way, and somehow I end up back here. And now I'm like, oh, I'm back here. And now it's even more foggy because it's the morning. It's hard to see. And I look, and I'm looking down, and there's just nothing. And I'm just like, huh, that's weird. So I'm like I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna stick around here. There's not really any place for me to go. So I start walking back up this way, and I'm like, I'm just gonna head back towards the road. So I turn and I go in this way. And as I'm walking, I just stop. And I just get this feeling I'm being watched again. So I turn around, and I look back, and there's just nothing. Look around again. Nothing. And it was about this point where I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And as I start walking, I notice that the forest is just silent. Completely just silent. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And at first, I don't think anything of it. And I'm just like, whatever. So I start walking. Forest remains quiet. And that feeling kicks back in. I make it back to the area that I was, and that feeling now, like, turned from a feeling of like, oh, that's kind of weird, to get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of the woods. So I essentially sprint back up to here. The truck was here, by the way. It was on the side of the road, but it was like right there. And I look down. Whatever. I'm like nothing. Forest is now lively again. And I was just like, oh, okay, that was weird as fuck. So the next day we leave, and I'm just kind of like, okay, like I told my dad, and he didn't believe me, of course, because he just, I don't know what his deal is. So I come home the next day, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm telling you, the next day, it's late, it's Sunday, we get home, nothing really happens. I go to bed. About 10 o'clock at night, my dog is laying with me in bed. The other dog is laying on the other side of my bed. Or no, the other dog was dead at this point. Yeah, he died at that point. And all of a sudden, I hear my door, from my door, I hear, never in my life have I ever jumped so high from a laying position. And this was the moment when I started keeping a gun under my bed, because I was worried about like intruders or something. I get my gun, and I freeze in the middle of my room, and I'm just like I'm breathing heavy again, and I'm like, what is my dad doing? Because I think it's him all of a sudden. I'm like I rationalize that it was probably him. So I go over to the door and open it, and he's not there. I close the door, shitting my pants. I fucking close the door. I lock it. Just to make sure, I lock it. And I go to sleep. Go back to sleep. I'm asleep for a few hours. And I have another dream. And it's a dream where I'm back in the woods. Like back in this area. Or no. I would have been like right, I don't know. I was somewhere here. Somewhere in this vicinity. And so I'm like, I wake up and I tell my dad. And he's like, yeah, whatever, shithead. Get the fuck out of here and go to school. And I go to school. I tell my friends about it. They don't believe me. I come home. And I'm like, I'm going to go lay down for a little bit, Mom. I'm tired. So I go and lay down. And, no. Sorry. I missed a part. So, when I came home, I told my mom what had happened. And she was like, that's weird because your grandpa just said that the treadmill turned on by itself. His treadmill turned on by itself last night and his garage door was up. And he made sure he closed it. And now, if you know my grandpa, you know he loves to keep his garage door closed at night. Because I don't even know why. Well, I do know why. Because burglars. But he he'll double check in the middle of the night if he thinks. And so we're like, okay, that's really weird. So I go to bed, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go lay down for a little bit. I'm tired. I go lay down, and all of a sudden, and I'm like, just whatever. And then I sleep for a little bit. I get up, I walk out, and my mom's like, what was that? I go, what? She's like, what was that noise? And I was like, what noise? And she's like, I heard something crash. We walk over to the bathroom. We look in, and the shower curtain, which was latched on there tight, and I remember because I had just put it up, collapsed. And now at this point, I go, hell no, I'm out. I ran over to my grandparents' house and stayed there for a solid, I left my mom to die, essentially. And I was like, I came back eventually, obviously. And she was like, thanks for letting me deal with this on my own. I was like, whatever. Tell my dad, he still doesn't believe us. He doesn't believe us. The two of us. Or my grandpa. I don't know why. I don't know what his problem is. So, a few months go by, and eventually it's rifle season. So we go back up hunting, and I'm still, at this point, convinced it's a ghost. And we get back up to the cabin, and this time my mom's along, and all of a sudden, I start getting sick. Randomly just sick. And so I'm I get a cold or something, but it was summertime, so it was weird, or I had allergies or something, I don't know. So we go back up, and I'm just whatever. I go out hunting, we park or not summertime, because it was rifle season, duh, it was winter, so I probably did have a cold. So we park the truck here. My brother, who also went along, positions himself right here. My dad goes up this way somewhere. I think he was maybe right there. I don't know. And I know what you're thinking. He wouldn't be so stupid to go and do that again, would he? I went down here. And this time, I crossed over and came here. And now I'm sitting here. I position myself here because I don't even correlate that this area is related at all. I don't think it at all. I am sitting there, and this time I have a gun, so I'm feeling a little more confident. And so I'm not seeing anything for the longest time. I'm not even getting the feeling that I'm being watched. I'm just sitting there. And eventually, I get up, because I'm like, I'm not seeing anything. Start walking down this way a little bit, and I stop. And there's a tire that I want to say is like right here. It's a big tractor tire. That's not uncommon to find in the woods. It really isn't, especially when you're hunting. Because a lot of people just like to throw their shit. And so I start walking over to it, and I'm just like looking at it and like, you know, whatever. And I step on something metal. And I look down, and there's like a, I don't even know what it was. It was like a piece of a gun. But it was not like a rifle. It was like a military gun. Like a gun the military would use. So I pick it up, and like it had like a trigger and everything, and it was made of metal. I pick it up, and I'm like, that is fucking bizarre. I get that feeling again that I'm being watched. All of a sudden, after picking this up, I put it down, and all of a sudden I'm just like, I get that feeling. I get that tingle. So I look around, and I make my way back over to this side. And as I'm coming here, Forrest goes silent again. At this point, I fucking sprint the whole way back up here. And I stay right here for a solid 10 minutes before I'm like, okay, it's my imagination. It's my imagination. I'm playing it off. It's my imagination. I go into the woods. I plant myself about, I want to say, right here or something. Maybe a little, maybe like more like right here. So I was close enough to see it, but like far enough that it would still be like a little bit of a hike. So I'm sitting there, and I'm looking out, and all of a sudden, my gun, which has never, ever done this before, I checked to see if it's loaded, because I think I hear something walking, like in this area, kind of, like it was walking up this way. So I think it's a deer, and it sounds like a deer. It sounds like crunching leaves. And it's like getting closer, and I'm like, okay. I go to unload, or I go to check if my gun is loaded. Like, just to make sure that I had it loaded. I flick it up, and all of a sudden, my gun falls apart. This is a brand new gun at the time. It was a brand new gun. Or maybe it was like a year old, but we take care of our fucking guns in this house. It is a almost brand new gun. Just falls apart. And this thing's getting closer. So the leaves are crunching. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. Getting closer. I hear crunching leaves right here. And I see nothing. At this moment, I proceed to do a strategic move called getting the fuck out of Dodge. I go back up, I get in the truck, and we had brought 2 cars, because I didn't actually know if I wanted to go hunting. I think I should have mentioned that. I didn't know if I actually wanted to go hunting that night, because I was sick, and I was coughing a lot. So I get in the truck. I guess my dad's car was, or it was my mom's car. They took my mom's car, I took my dad's truck. It was like right here. I get in. I drive the fuck back to the cabin. I leave my brother and father there to die. I was like, fuck this family. I'm out. No one believes me anyway. And I never in my life have I ever seen that, where there's crunching in the woods and then like nothing was there. Granted, it could have been a squirrel. It really could have been. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to deny that a lot of this was in my head. But the fact that, like, it was just so convenient. Almost. Like, it was so... I don't know. I go back home to the cabin. Eventually, we come back in. We leave the cabin. We go back home. Trip's over. I tell my dad everything. He doesn't believe me. So I go home. We're going down. And we get home. And my dad makes the joke, well, you touched something there. You went there multiple times. Don't you ever, like, watch these ghost shows? Like, you're not supposed to touch shit when you're in a haunted area, or it latches onto you. And so, I am just like, God, what the fuck did I do? Like, I brought a curse upon this family. So, a few days go by, and I'm sitting in my room. And I'm just, like, thinking, like, there's no way. Like, that was a gun that I found. I have no idea. And eventually I doze off, I fall asleep, and I have this dream where I'm, once again, probably right there, or whatever, and I can see into here. And I shit you not, something runs at me from here. But I couldn't see it. All I heard was crunching leaves. I shit my pants when I woke up. Absolutely shit my pants. And so I was like, I didn't even know what to say. I never went back there ever again, because I was like, hell to the fucking no. And, so, after that dream, I really haven't had too many paranormal experiences. There is one that I could think of. So, the one day we were walking, or not walking, excuse me. I was in my house, and I was walking back to my room, and a door slammed shut, like, right in front of me, and I fucking bolted back to my parents'. The main reason I didn't bring that up, as a bigger experience, was because they said it was the wind that came through a window and just, like, slammed the door. Because of the way the house was positioned, like, the wind could really easily just, like, slam doors and stuff. So I don't really know if that was paranormal or if that was just the wind. It probably was just the wind. But it was fucking scary. I really, outside of whatever that was that ran past my window during the episode, I don't know. It was just weird. But, yeah. That's actually kind of what inspired me, too, to do, like, the Gmod Construct Haunted video. Or Ghost Hunting in GM Construct video. I was like, yeah, I'll make a little ghost video thing. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was my ghost stories. And I'm sure I will be getting one soon, because another one soon, because I'm getting that feeling that something is in this house. And that's why I have a gun, so I can shoot the ghost. Alright. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.